Hello all, very good morning. We were discussing regarding the valvular heart diseases. So in first class we have seen the types of valvular heart diseases and we have discussed regarding the mitral valve stenosis. And in this class I would like to discuss you regarding the mitral regurgitation. So I need you to understand the term what is the regurgitation. Regurgitation means nothing but anything that is coming back. So when it has entered, whenever it is coming back, the flow, if it is coming back, then you are calling it as regurgitation. The best example for this regurgitation is vomit. So you have swallowed something and due to this regurgitation what is happening, it is coming out again. So here in mitral valve regurgitation, the blood which it had entered from the left atrium, which has entered from the left atrium to the left ventricle, what is happening here? Because of this regurgitation, because of the improper closure of the leaflets, so as you can see in the picture, the blood again it is re-entering into the left atrium instead of going into the left ventricle, which has entered into the left ventricle. Again it is going into the left atrium. So this is called mitral regurgitation. So here in this picture you can see this is the normal closure of the heart, this is the normal closure of the mitral valve. So here this is the abnormal, you can see the regurgitation. So here one leaflet is closed properly and another leaflet is wide open. Here both leaflets, one leaflet is closed properly and another leaflet it has been pulled to other side, due to which the regurgitation is occurring. So you are calling it as mitral valve regurgitation. Hope you understood. So mitral regurgitation means nothing but it is the incomplete closure of the mitral valve. So here what is happening, the margins of the valves, they are unable to close completely during the ventricular systole. So if they are not closing completely during the ventricular systole, what it is doing, it is leading to the backflow. So it is leading the blood to black flow from the left ventricle to the left atrium. So during the ventricular systole what will happen, the ventricle will contract. So when it is contracting, generally the blood which has it and in the left ventricle, it has to enter the arch of aorta and it has to go into the systemic circulation. But due to various reasons, if the mitral valve it is not closing properly, means during the ventricular systole, due to the pressure gradient, the blood which has to go into the systemic circulation, it is again going into the left atrium. That's what we are calling it as regurgitation, nothing but mitral valve regurgitation. So this is the normal systole. So here acute mitral regurgitation means here due to the opened mitral valve. So here you can see the valve is completely closed, but due to the opened mitral valve, what is happening, instead of the pressure has to go into the systemic circulation, but the same pressure it is exerting on the left atrium. So there is a high left atrial pressure being developed. So due to the pressure, increased pressure, what will happen, the left atrium is becoming dilated. So this is the acute mitral regurgitation and this is the chronic mitral regurgitation. Means the longer the mitral valve is wide open, the longer the left atrium is exposed, the wider it gets dilated and it will result in the regurgitation. Coming to the etiology, in acute mitral valve regurgitation, you will have infective carditis and acute myocardial infarction, and also we have trauma. So these are the acute causes for the mitral regurgitation. Coming to the chronic mitral regurgitation, so the persons who are having chronic rheumatic heart disease and mitral valve prolapse, left ventricle dilation, degeneration of valvular cups, hypertrophic and cardiomyopathy. So these are some of the conditions which are leading to this mitral valve regurgitation. Coming to the pathophysiology. So here in the pathophysiology, due to the causes, so due to all these causes, the mitral valve regurgitation is begin to start. So what will happen, there is volume overload on the left ventricle. So what will happen means the left ventricle will dilate. So due to the left ventricle dilation, the left ventricle is decompressed into the left atria during the diastole. So when it is decompressed, what is happening, the blood flow from the left ventricle is entering into the left atrium. You can see in the picture here. So what is happening, for suppose if this is the heart, normally the blood will enter from left atrium to the left ventricle, but due to the pressure variation, due to the left ventricle dilatation during the diastole, here what is happening, the mitral valve is not closing properly. So instead of going into the systemic circulation, the blood is entering into the left atrium. So there is left atrial enlargement. So automatically the left atrium is becoming enlarged here. Once the left atrium is enlarged, automatically the pressure in the left atrium is being raised, and ultimately the pressure is mainly going into the pulmonary vasculature. So as I have said in the last class, if you have seen my last class, I have explained you what is the circulation. For example, if this is the heart, so this is the right atrium and this is the left atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. So here from the system, from the body you are getting the blood into the right atrium, and from the right ventricle it is going to the lungs, and after purification the purified blood is again it is entering into the left atrium, and from the left atrium it is entering into the left ventricle, and from left ventricle it is going again to the body. So this is the normal circulation. When the atrium is being disturbed here, what will happen? The pulmonary vein which is carrying the oxygenated blood from lungs to the left atrium, the vasculature is being dilated. So once the pulmonary vein is affected, lungs are affected, and lungs are affected means again the pulmonary artery is also getting affected. So there is disturbance, there is increased pressure in the pulmonary vasculature, and what will happen means ultimately it will result in the pulmonary edema. The lungs are getting affected here. So in mitral regurgitation mainly the lungs are getting affected. Even in mitral stenosis also the lungs are getting affected, but the pressure over there will be very more. Because of the pressure there will be rupture of the minute vasculature. So there might be rupture of alveoli or there might be rupture of bronchioles. So it will result in the hemorrhage. Coming to the mitral wall regurgitation, here mainly pulmonary edema is occurring. If you come to the pathology, it is very simple and it is very easy. Just when the regurgitation is occurring in the mitral wall, or if it's due to the different types of causes, there will be overload in the left ventricle. So you will observe left ventricle dilatation. So this decompressed left ventricle, it is going into the left atrium during the diastole. So automatically there will be backflow, means the blood from the left ventricle instead of going into the systemic circulation, it is going into the left atrium. Automatically overload in the left atrium. So in order to compensate, the left atrium is becoming enlarged. If it is becoming enlarged, the pressure radiation is there. So the pressure will be ultimately more. Increased pressure will affect what? Pulmonary vasculature, means pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins, and what is the pulmonary blood circulation, and ultimately it will lead to pulmonary edema. So this is the pathophysiology of regurgitation. What? Mitral wall regurgitation. Coming to the clinical manifestations, if you see the clinical manifestations, if it is acute mitral wall regurgitation, so you will see the signs of pulmonary edema and even shock, and the pulse, you can feel the thready pulse and the cool and calm extremities, and murmur is heard during the auscultation of heart sound. So this is seen in case of acute mitral wall regurgitation. Coming to the chronic mitral wall regurgitation, in case of this chronic mitral wall regurgitation, the patients do not show any kind of signs and symptoms. They will stay for at least 1 year before the development, means before the right ventricle failure is being developed, they remain asymptomatic even just for 1 year also. What type of symptoms you can find is weakness, you can find fatigue, you can find dyspnea also you can find, mainly due to the decreased forward cardiac output, and you can see PCD, nothing but paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, means during the night time the patient experiences lot of difficulty in breathing, and also you can see the peripheral edema in the later stage. Peripheral means all the extremities, limbs, everything will get edema. So these are the clinical manifestations of mitral wall regurgitation. If it is acute, you will feel thready pulse, you will feel pulmonary edema, the person will enter into the shock, and you can see cool and calm extremities, and also you can see hear the murmurs whenever you are auscultating per heart sound. Coming to the investigation part, here we will go for history collection as well as physical examination, ECG, chest x-ray and cardiac catheterization. So here you will see pulmonary capillary wedge pressure, and also you will see left atrial pressure. So this one is pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. So what is the amount of pressure that is there in the pulmonary capillaries, and left atrial pressure. So these are the two types of investigations that we'll perform through cardiac catheterization, and also we'll go for the 2D echo. So here if you see in this chest x-ray, it is showing mitral regurgitation. So cardiomegaly is present. So cardiomegaly means what? Nothing but increased heart size. So mainly here left ventricle is being dilated and left atrium is being dilated. Ultimately the pressure will be there in the right ventricle also, so automatically the right ventricle also will get dilated. So it will result in what? Cardiomegaly, nothing but increased size of the heart. So these are some of the investigations that you will perform mainly in the mitral valve regurgitation. Coming to the medical management. So here the major cause for mitral regurgitation is infective endocarditis. So if you take prophylaxis related to endocarditis, you can prevent the mitral valve regurgitation. Patients who does not show any kind of signs and symptoms with this mitral valve regurgitation, so what we will do, conservatively we will go for the 2D echograms and we will manage the patient. And thirdly, we will give the vasodilator. So what this vasodilator will do is, means they will increase the blood flow. So here, as the pressure is increasing, if you dilate the blood vessels, the blood can pass easily, so that the pressure gradient can be decreased. So this is the medical management. Coming to the surgical management, they will go for MVR. Either it could be mitral valve repair or either it could be mitral valve replacement. If you see the picture here they are mainly performing the mitral valve repair. So in mitral valve repair, so this one it is spoiled here. So the surgeon, he is planning what portion to be removed, and what they are using an annuloplasty band. So with the help of the annuloplasty band, mainly they are cutting down the edges, what are all the diseased edges are there, they are cutting down and they are suturing them in a proper way, so that the mitral valve regurgitation is not occurring. So this is the surgical management here. So this was the surgical management, and this is regarding the mitral regurgitation. Hope you guys understood. In next class, I'll discuss what is the mitral valve prolapse. Hope you understood the pathophysiology. If you follow my previous classes, then it will be very easy for you. Just follow regarding the valvular heart diseases. I'll try to keep one playlist for this chapter. Just try to go and follow. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any queries, please drop them in the comment box. I'll try to explain. And if you have any problem with my teaching, you can suggest me, so that I will change the way I speak, or I will change the way I present you the topic. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.